Captain's Log, everyone, and welcome to the Bad Rating Podcast. I may be doing the Shatner thing, but that's fine anyway. I am one of your hosts, Atlas Novak, and today one of my co-hosts, they were also built by Dr. Soon. It's Chris Hetlinger.
Hi!
And our guest today, you may have seen him on America's Got Talent. It's Morgan J.
What's going on? The name of the show was NBC's Bring the Funny, but who's keeping track? They're all the same.
Sorry. Isn't AGT also on Bring the Funny?
Yeah, actually, America's Got Talent was our lead-in.
Oh, got it. So I'm gonna just edit it together and make it all snappy, and by that
It's
I mean,
all, bro. Again, these are quarantine times, bro.
yeah.
See, this is like, I also think this year was a leap year anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, February 29th invalidates everything that year.
Exactly, dude. This is a freak year, bro.
Yeah. My favorite thing, and like for the people who are just listening to this on audio, Morgan has got the most inviting background right now. Like I just want to spoon with somebody in the bed behind him. It's like
I want to jump into the bed and snuggle with my dog. That is what I want to do.
Damn, yeah, that's what we want. We want people to want it. I'm just testing the lights over here. Is that bright enough?
Yeah, it's fine.
We just want the ladies and the fellas, if they need be, to just really want to feel like they could chill out, hop on the bed. You know, it's memory foam. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, it does really look inviting though.
King size, you gotta make your bed every morning. You know what I'm saying?
I do this weird thing where I try and get out of bed while disturbing the least amount of cover as possible, where you try and like ninja your way out and have it just fall perfectly.
Do you know people who sleep on top of the bed and don't even get underneath the sheets?
No. Are those people?
They exist. Oh, they exist.
Wow. Well, owning up to my terrible William Shatner impression at the beginning, Morgan, we like to ask our guest here on Bad Reading, what are you into?
Star Trek, baby. I just watched another Star Trek movie yesterday, and I freaking loved it, dude. I loved it.
Well, which movie did you watch?
Okay, I'll give you a hint. It involves mammals. Two very, very, very large mammals.
Voyage Home, the one with the whales.
Yes.
Yay!
Yo, my friend told me about that Star Trek. He was like, "You got to see that one," and I watched it, and I freaking loved it. It was so great,
Isn't it?
and then you realize when what's his name, Chekhov, gets caught in the nuclear submarine. You're like, of course, it's the 80s.
Right?
It's like the Cold War. This all makes perfect sense. I also think what I really think was really funny about that movie was the woman who's the marine biologist is like, I have nobody here. I'll go to the future. Like, without even in the span of 24 hours, she's like, yeah, I'll go to the future. So she hitches a ride to the future, and like a week after she gets there, or like right when she gets there, she goes to Kirk and is like, yeah, thanks for the ride, but I'm gonna go do my own thing. This was a lot of fun. You know what I mean? You're like, this, what?
Hey, that's autonomy right there. You're in the future.
I mean, that's empowering as a woman. Like, she really used her womanhood to travel to the future, you know?
I mean, I would go to the future immediately if somebody asked using my non-binary hood. Be like, hey girl or dude, can you take me to the future? Yeah? Okay, great. Bye.
It is funny to think in, like, you know, with those movies, despite how woke it is, you still have characters like Riker and Kirk who are like womanizers and have to fuck aliens to save the mission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have more female-led characters who are like the captain, you know, the stereotype of the captain who needs to sleep with everybody.
Well,
I would like that.
It's funny you say that because in Voyager, I read an interview or like an article about the captain who played Catherine Janeway.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like very adamant that she didn't want the show to be about like sex selling. Like she wanted a female captain to be like a female captain and not seen as this person who like hooks up with everybody.
Well,
You
she
know,
went for the Picard vibe, which is the
she went for the
responsible captain, as opposed to the Kirk vibe, which is the
renegade.
I sleep with that. Yeah,
But,
I'm gonna do this thing.
what was it? The Next Generation, they still had Riker, who was like, he was that outlet for those people. And then at the
Yeah.
end of the day, Voyager, they casted 7 of 9 anyway, and it's a big boon for the series. Everybody loved it.
My favorite line from the voyage home is where they like first get to the future and they're like, "What the fuck is this?" And then they like accidentally almost get run over by a car. And the guy's like, "Hey, watch where you're going, dumbass!" And they kind of don't know how to respond to him because they don't
Double
know.
dumbass.
Double dumbass on you.
Well,
Best fucking...
I feel like I don't know if that movie Midnight Cowboy came out before. I think it came out before, but there was like that famous scene where Dustin Hoffman has like a cab gets in the way.
Yeah, I'm walking here.
And that was totally improvised. That was like not planned.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. I remember reading about that.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the most famous lines in movie history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he almost got hit by a car like on camera. That's why he lost his shit.
I'm walking here. I wonder how many other movie lines are just a result of like either something unforeseen happening or just the guy made it up on the spot.
So much stuff that's just like happens and you're just like, all right, let's just go with it. We'll use it.
I know a lot of like Thor Ragnarok, the director Taika. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say his name.
Taika Waititi. Yeah.
I love him.
He gave them like a basic kind of like skeleton of what he was going to do, and they kind of had lines, but they were allowed to play with them a lot, and it showed. Like everyone was having fun.
The first time I watched that movie, I feel like that movie's kind of like Big Lebowski, and I feel like every time I watch Ragnarok, it gets a little bit better.
Yeah.
I've only seen it once.
Yeah, if you watch it again, it's like very much a comedy. It's like one of the funniest I feel like the funniest Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I agree. It's really good. I like it.
And it got like all the stuff with with Banner, like it's just really funny, man. What's his name? Chris Hemsworth is really funny, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's very aggravating that he's like super hot and funny. It's like, bro, you don't need to be both of those things, bro.
He's like me if you took him from like a 6 to a 10.
That's your dog disagreeing with you. He's like, no, Atlas, you're an 11.
Oh no, I thought that was just him laughing uproariously. Either or.
Well, what's up with this fan fiction, man? I'm excited.
So today, Chris found this one. It was on Archive of Our Own. We will put the link to it in the show notes for you to, go find and to give the artist credit. It is something called The Android and the Engineer by TARDIS Traveler 42.
TARDIS Traveler, Doctor Who. We get it.
And Hitchhiker's Guide 42.
Yeah, both the 42.
That's right. That's right.
The summary is a collection of short stories revolving around Data and Geordi. Some fluff, some angst, some friendship, and some romance. Start anywhere, as all stories are unconnected. So this is going to be a little...
Forge.
Yeah, the LeVar Burton, Mr. Reading Rainbow
What a great
himself.
guy, man. Yeah. I like that dude.
Yeah.
I really like him.
I follow him on Twitter. He's real wholesome.
Is he real wholesome?
Mm-hmm.
Is he a Scientologist?
I don't think so.
I feel like he's one of those people that, you really like, and then you find out they're a Scientologist, and you're like, damn, dude. Damn, bro.
Give me an example.
Like, I used to really like Giovanni Ribisi as an actor. I thought he was great. Also, the guy from Ant-Man, Michael Pena.
Really?
Yeah, he's a Scientologist. You see how? Look at your face. Look at your face of utter shock. Yeah, he's a Scientologist. Isn't that a bummer?
For the audio people, their eyes went boing like a cartoon. It was great.
Right? Isn't that such a bummer? Because he's so funny in Ant-Man.
Yeah, he's such a... Oh, that's such a shame.
It's almost like the way you're reacting is like, man, we lost Michael Pena.
Right?
Oh, man.
Oh, man, they're a Scientologist. shucks.
Yeah, damn, we lost Michael Pena.
Or like Danny Masterson hide from that '70s show, like up until about a few years ago, because then there was the thing where he was assaulting women. So that's just fucking.
That was the thing. I didn't know he was a Scientologist, but I was just like,
Damn, dude.
Well, let's on that not very sad notes. So the first little vignette is called Chapter 1, Sing Me Your Sweet Lullaby. The summary is Geordi can't sleep, so he visits Data's quarters. Very fluffy. Can be read as deforge or strong friendship. Is that a thing where you should...
I think it's interesting that they read it like they give you the tone of the piece.
mm-hmm.
Because, like, if somebody's good at writing, I'm not trying to knock this writer, but, like, the tone would be implied somehow in the writing, right?
I think the reason they give it to you like that is that they want to make sure that they're like, oh, hey, for those people who don't want these two characters to be together, you can read it as friendship if you want, or you can read it as they have something more if you want. But yeah, I agree.
That's true,
unnecessary, yeah. But in fan fiction land, it's pretty common for that thing to be put in there just so that you don't alienate people when you want more people to come and read your fic.
Do you remember that that episode of Next Gen when Data starts dating that chick? He has like a girlfriend for a week and
it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Because he's an android.
Because he's a fucking robot human.
But I like how he has a cat.
Yeah, that is nice.
A cat named Spot.
Did you watch any Picard?
I have not seen it.
Because a lot of
I do not have HBO.
Oh yeah, so a lot of it revolves around Data. I mean, like, he's not in it, but like, he's a big catalyst for it.
Really?
Yeah. Essentially, Data creates children. He has children, and he has like a whole society of androids that he makes.
That's super interesting.
But there are a lot of holes in that show.
Okay, I'll go into it with that expectation, which will help, because if there are holes that weren't previously disclosed to me, I would pick them. Like, I'd pick at them until I would have...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were super angry about it, and my thing is like, bro, you're never going to get anything like Star Trek, Next Gen, and there's never going to be a show like that again, because people's attention spans are lower, nobody has the imagination to create interesting stories. Also, nobody wants to take risks on interesting stories. That might be polarizing anymore. So
I think it's more that than people aren't gonna like. For Star Trek, I think the fan base is so built in that if you put out an interesting story, like, people will watch regardless.
But that's the thing, right? So then why didn't they just do that? If their whole point of... See, I'm sorry I'm getting angry, guys. But if the whole point...
You're the most chill, angry guy ever. You're like, oh, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to have to punch you in the face.
It's like, if you want people to go to CBS All Access and pay $5 a month, and one of your big draws is the Star Trek, then make a good fucking Star Trek show, and then everybody will go to it, and then those people will tell their friends, and you'll, like, essentially relaunch a whole franchise because of it,
On a completely unrelated note, patreon.com/badreadingpod. Help support the show. Anyway, but yeah, sing me your sweet lullaby.
No, I want to yell more about CBS All Access and stuff.
Are you serious? Do you want to? Do you want me to, like?
No.
Okay, all right. Sometimes Geordi's visor made it difficult to sleep. It was scientifically documented that staring at screens for too long could wake your brain up. And since he basically stared at a sort of screen all day long, sleeping was always a hit or miss. Usually he didn't mind. There was always something interesting to work on in engineering. But after the day he'd had... Geordi sat up with a sigh. Reaching over for his visor, it was easy to find, perched just beside his bed. Pretty soon he was surrounded by color and rough outlines of the objects in his room. His pajamas were uncomfortable. His room was the perfect temperature, and his whole body felt like lead. But still, he couldn't sleep. There was always sick bay. They could cook up a hypo and knock out a horse. But sick bay was so far away, and he really didn't want this silly little bout of insomnia on his record. Too many of those, and the captain might start getting worried. He'd only been chief engineer for a little while. A slip-up now would send him back to maintenance work. No, he wouldn't go to sick bay. But he couldn't stay here either.
Interjection. I don't think that Picard would be like, you have insomnia, you can't be on board. Like an upper officer, he'd be like, hey, what's the matter?
They'd probably rule if he did it too many times. I mean, I guess they're in this universe. They're probably assuming that some of these hypo sprays or these injections might be addictive.
Maybe.
I have to assume that Captain Picard literally has to take like a giant sedative every night, considering the post-traumatic stress disorder of being aboard, being abducted by the Cardassians and tortured, living a whole other life in that one episode. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, there should be a whole episode where Picard, like, talks about PTSD being, you know what I mean? Because they're like they're like soldiers in a way.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy to me.
They were soldiers in the original series, essentially. They were a branch of the military, except the military in the future, you know, according to Gene Roddenberry, had become explorers because there was no war on Earth anymore.
Right.
But that was the military, as opposed to the Next Generation, where they're still, the military is kind of like providing like the government structure of the Enterprise, but there's people on it now, who, like, have families and things and stuff. So
this is true.
He's still kind of a soldier in a way.
I'm imagining whatever Captain Picard has to take to help him sleep is like from that episode of SpongeBob where Mr. Krabs has to take that pill every day and it's like this big, it's like a football.
Isn't it wasn't the joke that it's a suppository in that? Was the punchline?
I think it's implied, but they never say suppository.
Okay.
There's a thing from Futurama where it's like it's this pill that allows you to survive the pressure of the ocean. And they're like, how am I going to swallow that? He's like, well, then good news, it's a suppository. Like,
maybe that's what I was thinking.
Damn, dude. I wonder what it's like to put drugs in your butt.
I have no idea, and I have no desire.
Because, you know, some people put cocaine in their butthole to numb it so they could have butt sex. Did you know that?
No.
I did know that cocaine was a local anesthetic, and that does seem like a general progression that seems to make sense, but I didn't think about it until right now.
Well, now you know, and now you have things to try out during the quarantine.
I've heard of butt chugging, sadly.
That's a real thing. There are people who I've definitely heard of soaking a tampon in vodka and then putting it in your asshole.
Yeah, apparently it like goes a lot further. So the teenagers are like, I stole this half a bottle of vodka out of my mom's liquor cabinet.
Apparently you get drunk way faster because it's like absorbed into the bloodstream super quick.
But the burn, I can't even imagine how uncomfortable that would be.
Why would you'd be too busy getting lit to worry about the burn in your ass. All right, continue with the story.
That should just be a T-shirt, like your face on it. You're too busy getting lit to worry about the burn in your asshole. Morgan J. All right. Okay. Geordi forced himself to his feet. The soft carpeting seemed to meld with his feet as soon as they made contact, making it almost impossible to move. His whole body ached from being jammed into that Jeffries tube all day. The only thing that had made it worthwhile was the company he had all day, his best friend Data. A thought entered Geordi's mind as he padded across the floor. He wondered what Data was doing. What Data always did while everyone else was asleep. Often he worked the night shift, if only because no one else wanted to, but Geordi was almost certain he wasn't working tonight. What did an android do in his off hours? Geordi made his guesses as he tied a robe around himself, a heavy one that would keep him warm even in the ship's draftiest corridors. He slid on a pair of slippers as well, sturdy ones that didn't look completely ridiculous in public.
Like the ones you have.
Oh, you mean the ones that I wore to work for like 2 months before anybody noticed?
Yeah, because they look like shoes, and I dared you to wear like actual slippers to work, and you didn't.
Oh, like bunny slippers?
Or like any kind of slippers that are more obviously slippers. Like
Right.
the kind that you wear around Christmas that have the little like jingle bells on them or something.
I mean, I don't know. At this point, like my boss like keeps a close enough eye on everybody, except for that time where I brought in an exercise ball to sit on, and it took her 3 days to notice. So who knows, really?
Wait, she didn't let you keep that?
No, she didn't let me keep it.
Oh.
For like, just for context, it was like a bright blue exercise ball. It's kind of hard to miss. And my boss was like coming in constantly, and like by Thursday, she's like, "Hey, you can't have that here." I was like, "Okay, I thought I'd been grandfathered in by this point. Whatever."
I'm
You
just
ever?
looking for things to be bossy about.
I guess so. You ever have like work a job like that, Morgan, where your boss is like snippy about little stuff, but it takes them a while to notice?
It's funny you say that because I worked at the Apple Store for 6 years and I ended up quitting because they were gonna fire me. Because I was giving everybody discounts that walked in the store. So, like,
Chaotic good.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I was giving discounts for like I want to say like 2 or 3 years at that point, and then finally, one of my coworkers wasn't even a manager. It was like one of these people that make the Kool-Aid. No, there's some people who like drink the Kool-Aid of the company,
Yeah,
and there's some people who make the Kool-Aid.
yeah.
Well, this girl made the Kool-Aid, and she essentially I was clocking out, and I gave this family from India. They were like they didn't live in this country, so I just gave them a discount. I was like, whatever, bro. I get I could like I don't want to get into the particulars, but after my shift, she came up to me and she was like, "Hey Morgan, did you give those people a discount?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because this shit is expensive. It's like why wouldn't I give a discount?" And like she couldn't wrap her head around the fact that like I was a rule breaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
and it's like Lisa, these all the technology in the store is made by tiny Chinese hands. Like if you have an ethical problem about me giving a discount to these people, like search within yourself. All right, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Search
Because
within yourself while you lick these boots.
it's like the problem is way deeper than whether I'm giving a 10% discount to somebody for an iPhone. Like, come on. Anyway, yes, I did have a coworker slash, and then the next day I had a meeting with one of the bosses, and they were like, "Hey Morgan, could you walk us through your last couple of transactions?" And I was like, "Well, I was just trying to surprise and delight the customers with a discount using like the jargon that they use at these freaking stores, you know."
Right, right.
And then she's like, "All right, well, we're gonna have to like revisit this maybe in a week and see what's going on." And then a week later, I had a second interview, and the second boss was like coaching me through the questions because she like knew I was a good employee, and she like a lot of employees there were doing that shit. But she's like, they're going to investigate you. And I was like, all right, I quit. And I just fucking quit. Luckily that year, that was the first year I showcased for NACA, and I ended up booking like 40 schools, so it didn't matter.
Nice.
Nice.
That's like
That's
you
the
you
universe.
had the like that thing from TV that you can't fire me because I quit.
Oh, yeah,
You know.
exactly. Yeah, I wasn't going out like that. I'd never been fired from a job.
It's a good way
Also,
to
the
go.
funny thing is, anytime somebody leaves the store or quits, every employee gets a clap out.
Really?
Like all the other employees clap for them when they leave. I had like three people clap me out because all the managers were salty because they knew I was quitting and they knew I should have been fired. And that's the best part.
I've always wanted to like have that kind of like just mic drop, way of leaving the job.
Right, 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 totally.
Chris, do you have any like quitting a job stories like that?
Not really. I mean, I left on good terms pretty much all of my positions. I did kind of rage quit like a couple of jobs because I wasn't given a raise or, laterally transferred in the way that I wanted to be. But like I still didn't, it wasn't like a mic drop by. It was I'm going to search for opportunities elsewhere kind of thing. It was still good terms, so
Yeah.
not yet. I have not had that story yet.
What kind of work do you get? What kind of work do you guys do now for money?
I'm a writer and an editor at a vocational school, and and also I do graphic design for them too. So I kind of have 4 jobs because I fact check, I edit, I write, and I graphic design. So.
Oh, yeah, you should work on Fiverr. I've been hiring all my graphic design stuff on Fiverr recently.
Okay.
It's just like a bunch of men or women from Indonesia or India, and it's like really cheap. It's really bad, but it's like it's not bad, but it's like cheap. It's really great.
I'm not going to tell my bosses that because they will immediately take advantage of it, and I don't want them to exploit people.
I'm sorry. Yeah, don't. Yeah, it's fine.
It's a good thing no one listens to this podcast, because then they'd find out.
Yeah.
Tweet this.
Love you. Yeah. Let's see, where were we? Oh.
There are some shady practices in the private sector vocational school that I'm not going to get into, but...
Oh, okay.
Off mic.
Off mic, yeah.
Off mic.
Okay.
All right. Computer, he asked quietly, where is Commander Data? Commander Data is located in his quarters, the computer's ever-dependable voice replied. Geordi smiled to himself. That narrowed down the possibilities for what Data could be doing. He wasn't at a poker game, he wasn't speaking to the captain, and he wasn't practicing chess in 10 forward.
By the way, imagine asking the computer where somebody is, like, and if they're in the holodeck, imagine really living in this universe and not always, like, doing some sort of masturbatory act in the holodeck. Like, imagine going to the holodeck actually, no, I guess you could, like, go to Hawaii or some shit like that, but...
But why would you? Always go for the, like, sick,
I would
twisted
always
orgy.
try to fuck somebody in the holodeck, dude. I'd hook up with every alien species. I'm a perv, bro.
Yeah. There has to be, like, an incognito mode for the holodeck.
Oh,
there has to be private browsing.
Yeah.
Bro, I think while we were reading this, I was like, maybe I should do like a short series of erotic fan fiction holodeck stories just for Star Trek.
Yes, do it.
And they all and every
character.
Like essentially it's just all erotic fiction, but they all start with so Geordi walked into the holodeck. Like they all just start with that, and then it's just them like doing some space porn erotic novel shit.
I mean, if you do it, we'll put it on our Patreon or something, or YouTube. I don't know, but like that's really really funny.
That would be fantastic, and it's just like like just if only you could put sound into a fan fiction, because you would have like the sexy saxophones right as soon as you're like Geordi walked into the holodeck. It's like brackets sexy saxophone.
Why am I doing Baker Street?
Worf took out not one, but both of his manhoods.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Because Worf has 2 of everything, right?
This could be funny, bro. Try to make it tasteful.
Yeah, I mean, well, also, since Worf has 2 of everything, which implies he has, 2 penises, that means you can have an odd number of people at this orgy, and then he counts as 2 people.
That's right. But isn't it funny, like, he doesn't have 2 arms or 2 legs? It's just, like, the organs. But that makes sense, actually.
He doesn't have 2 noses, and he doesn't have 2 mouths.
Are those an organ, though? Do those count?
I think a nose counts as an organ, doesn't it?
But they do have that weird the ridges.
Yeah. And it turns out those are noses.
Is the ridge like a nose?
No, but I'm sure that's like those ridges have some sort of I don't know, like use of some sort.
They could be they're either a decorative functions, like think peacocks, where it's just like they just have pretty feathers because they're pretty, and it's to show off. Look at how healthy I am, and look at how beautiful my feathers that I can.
Do you guys, speaking of weird features that aliens have, do you guys find that the Ferengi are truly the most disgusting species in the Star Trek universe?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And like in most cases, some of the species like are so weird looking, like I can look past it and try to like find a way to sexualize it, but like the Ferengi, also you never see like a female Ferengi. The Ferengi are so gross that like their heads look like butts, like their faces look like a nutsack. They're like the most gross species there, and I hate to be, you know, that guy on the starship, but I don't like them.
Wait, their heads look like butts and their chins look like nutsacks. So that time where I got drunk and put googly eyes on my butt, that's like about as close as you can get for.
Dude, you probably were full back Ferengi. You probably look like a Ferengi from the back, bro.
Yep.
Those googly eyes are still back there. Fun fact. No.
However, and let me ask you guys. I'm gonna ask you guys a theory. We're like never gonna finish this one short story, but
Oh no, it's fine. That's
okay.
the point.
Okay, do you think that certain species in the Star Trek universe represent certain like ethnic groups in the world? Do you know what I'm saying?
I just
Sure.
think it's funny that the Cardassians are, what is it, like leather clad and bent on like dominating all parts of society and stuff, and their name is oddly close to Kardashian. It's just, that made me laugh.
You know? Well, I was just saying, like, the stereotype for Jewish people is money, right? Like, they hoard money, they own all the banks, right? So then the Ferengi are like the species who, like, their value system is all money, right?
I think they're more of a metaphor for capitalism because of Gene Roddenberry's hatred of capitalism.
You know what? That makes a lot more sense. Forget what I said, edit it out.
Well, okay, no, but there's also there's an episode of the original series where it's like two people where one side of them is completely black and the other side is completely white, and one of them is subservient to the other, but the only difference between them is that like the black is on one side and the white's on the other.
So
for both of
very
them. So
message.
yeah. So like the whole like stuff is a metaphor for race very easily. That's probably a thing.
Yeah, you could probably read into it. Then who are the cat people? I'm just kidding. There are cat people.
I'm pretty sure
There
that
are
was just a
always
movie
cat
from
people.
2019 with
Yeah.
the butthole cut that was never released.
Oh, God. Could you imagine if the world got to witness the version of cats with buttholes in it? Get the F out.
Oh my god. I still haven't seen that movie. I've only heard this
You
horror
know-
story of my friends going to go see it while on hallucinogens, and they were like, it was a bad time.
Why would you do
Yeah.
that?
Well, here's the thing. If you were in the first wave of people who got to see it in theaters, because when I saw the trailer from Comic-Con, I was like, you know what? I bet this shit is going to be a hit. Like, because it was like so out there and colorful, and it's a musical, you know? And then I watched it with two other people in the room, and I think it's one of those things kind of like Snakes on a Plane where you just have to be
Alone.
in a theater. No, you got to be with like a full theater, everybody laughing and just like losing their shit over it. You know what I'm
Oh.
saying? Like Rocky Horror Picture Show or some shit like that.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it turns out to be like a Rocky Horror type deal, kind of like how Scott Pilgrim got that treatment.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, Scott Pilgrim.
that movie turned 10
What
years
is that
old
sign?
a couple weeks ago.
I was, before I could see the movie, I was, I don't want to say forced, coerced into reading the entire comic book series in like one night because we were going to see it the next day with a bunch of people. So it kind of ruined it for me.
Why? That's
I
too much
never read
Scott.
it. I never read it, and I thought the movie was awesome.
It's a great movie. The books are really good too.
Yeah.
I like in terms of what's accurate. It's the first book is the first half of the movie, and then books 2 through 6 are the last half.
What frustrated me was just, I mean, like, I guess it's good that the two characters ended up together, but like, they're both terrible people, and I'm like, I hate you both. You deserve each other.
Yeah, and Ramona
And
is kind of a
I-
Mary Sue in the movie, but in the book she's like a lot more fleshed out.
Yeah.
She is, I wouldn't say a lot more fleshed out. She's somewhat more fleshed out. Having read all of them
Yes, in a single night.
in one night.
Well, let's see what happens with Jordy if he ever gets to sleep.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. 10-4. Geordie thanked the computer and stepped out into the hallway. It was incredibly quiet this time of night. Some people found it peaceful, while others found it creepy. Geordi didn't know where he stood on the argument. He'd always been more comfortable around computers than people, but it was strange to hear the soft groaning of the ship instead of laughter and commotion. Geordi was fully awake again by the time he reached Data's quarters. His visor was fully operational, and his body didn't feel so completely unmovable. He rang the panel on the wall and waited for Data's usual, "You want to be Data?" Chris?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yawning. Come in, please.
Before entering. The first thing Geordi saw was Data's aura. It always calmed him for some reason. Maybe because Data was always so calm. He was a good balance for Geordi's high-energy bursts.
Geordi,
said Data, lowering the violin from his chin. So close, Geordi said. Geordi snapped his fingers. At Data's confused expression, he explained, "I guessed that you were practicing oboe." Data cocked his head. He still had not returned to playing, just stood holding his bow in one hand and the violin in the other.
I do require more practice with the oboe. However, I am playing the violin in concert for the Ugha ambassador.
Yeah, good fucking luck pronouncing that. It's like you with the G, you with an umlaut, G-H-A-H. Ugha or something.
Ugha, yeah. Ugha.
I would love to meet the person who did all the languages on that show. Oh wait, no, they didn't do that on the show, except for that one episode where when the walls fell. Remember that one? Tarmac and Jalad at Tanagra. Darmak and Jalad at Tanagra.
Oh man, it rings a bell.
That was one of the like a very famous episode.
Yeah.
Season 5 something. I just remember because I bought a hoodie from that show.
Nice.
From that episode, I bought a specific hoodie from that episode. It's one of my favorite hoodies that I own.
Is it really soft?
Huh?
Is it really soft?
No, I just think it's freaking funny because the main line from that show that they say over and over again is Darmak and Jalad at Tanagra. So essentially the Enterprise meets a species that speaks their language is based off of metaphors or references to past like iconic stories, right? Mm-hmm. So in their culture, Darmak and Jalad is like a famous story. And so they keep saying it, Darmak and Jalad at Tanagra. So the hoodie is Jean-Luc Picard shredding with like a cut-off T-shirt.
Oh my God!
And then it says, Darmak and Jalad at Tanagra 91, like as if they did a concert. Like it's such a good. I'll send you guys if you guys are curious. I'll send a link to where I got it. But I think it's super funny.
Please send like a picture of you wearing it if you.
Oh heck yeah, I'll send it.
We'll put it on our Instagram at Bad Reading Pod.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's fucking awesome. What's like the nerdiest like shirt that you have where when you're out in public, people are like, "What is that?" You're like, "Oh, it's from this thing."
No, that's the hoodie. That's it. It's the
hoodie.
That's
the thing.
Because I remember I was in Portland doing a college show, getting my rental car, and this like 60-year-old woman looks over at me and she sees my hoodie. She goes, "Cool hoodie."
That's awesome.
And like you could just tell she freaking knew, and it was just really funny.
That would be like if someone came up to you and went, "Dort, block 2, karate nicto," and you're like, "Friends."
Yeah.
You know, like when clout meets clout, you're like, "Yeah, you get it, bro."
Chris, what's your nerdiest shirt?
Probably the shirt that my friends and I made specifically for, it was like a gathering of a few of us, and we called it Tellius Con. It wasn't a real convention. It was just like a gathering of friends in Michigan. And Tellius is it's a fictional land in 2 of the Fire Emblem games. Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, and Radiant Dawn, which were all of our favorite game. And then it has all of our names listed on the back of the shirt. It's just like featuring, and it just had all of our names. So we just decided to make a T-shirt, and it's great, and it's super nerdy because, one, we made a convention out of something that no one would ever make it out of, and it was for 2 like not as played Fire Emblem games. Because when I say Fire Emblem, most people think like the 2 newest ones, and now 3 Houses is really right. 3 Houses is the newest one now, and that one's played a lot. And then the one with Awakening is probably my favorite after Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. Anyway, that's my nerdiest shirt. It has my name on it, and it's great.
That is pretty dope.
Oh, and we all have like nicknames on it. So like one of us was like the fic writer because she wrote a lot of fan fiction. I think mine was my friend Joss made all of the nicknames. So I was Hot South because I used to cosplay South, and like Joss was like, "This is gonna be who you are," and I was like, "Okay."
This is my nerdiest one because I'm sitting next to my dresser, so the YouTube people get something extra. But it is this Rush T-shirt from their Hemispheres tour in the 70s that I found at a thrift store. And I fucking love Rush, and it's the oldest old man thing that I do. But I don't care that Neil Peart was like a libertarian in the late 70s. He came around, all right.
As long as he came around.
Yeah. He came around by like the early 80s and he saw what was going on. He's like, this is too much cocaine. I'm good.
So libertarianism is a consequence of doing too much cocaine?
No. He was a libertarian up until the amount of cocaine was being done. He was like, I'm out.
Okay.
Let's see. Jordy smiled, stepping deeper into the room so that the door shut behind him. Do you mind if I listen? He asked.
Not at all.
Jordy sat on the couch as Data propped his violin up again. He flipped back a page in the music book he was looking at, and then started to play. The tune was high-pitched and a bit too exciting for Jordy's taste, but, it being Data, he didn't mind. His fingers intertwined and then laced behind his head, where he leaned back against the wall. He moved just once more to take off his visor and closed his eyes. Suddenly the music stopped.
Do you wish to go to sleep?
Asked Data in a soft and achingly kind voice. Jordy smiled again. It was a long day. I couldn't get to sleep in my quarters. Jordy heard some shuffling, but the violin music did not return. Instead, Data said,
Perhaps I should play something more soothing.
I'm the one who stormed in on... It says, I'm the one who stormed in won you. I'm the one who stormed in on you, Jordy reminded him. You play whatever you want to. There was a pause, and then Brahms' lullaby entered Jordy's ears. He released a playful groan and shaking his head. Again, Data stopped playing.
I was attempting to help you sleep. Lullabies are commonly used to lower heart and breathing rate, which promotes...
I know, Data. Thank you. Do whatever you want to. Another pause, and then Brahms' lullaby started again. Jordy leaned deeper into the back of the couch and let himself be carried away by the little tune. If anything, it did help him feel better about today. Maybe engineering had seen a million different problems, half of which still had no solutions. But here, in Data's quarters, there were no problems. Here, sleep soon claimed him, a sleep that had him dreaming of androids who wished to be composers.
End of chapter 1.
Yeah.
I like how these fan fiction people like really capture the voices of these characters.
Yeah, some of them are really good at it.
When they talk, they're just like but then again, they do have like 270 episodes to draw source material from. So
yeah.
Well, because the people who
so if they can't figure out the voices of these characters, they're just not destined to write fan fiction.
Right. Because the people who actually like write the fan fiction like a show enough that they're like, I want to be in this world more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Some people may be a little clunky with like prose or whatever, but if there's anything they're good at, it's the voice.
Yeah, for sure. And they're passionate about it, so they're gonna they're passionate enough about something to write something that they'll never make any money on. That is just like using their time in a way that they want to. It's a hobby, but
yeah.
It's
all right, I'm for sure gonna do that holodeck porn fan fiction for sure. Ain't no doubt about it.
Holodeck porn would also make for a decent band name.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, that's dope. That's a good name.
I have this ongoing list in my notepad app of just band names for like people are like, oh, I want to name my band. You're like, here you go, buddy. Go for it.
Let's see if we could squeak one more story in, because I'm gonna dip in like 10 or 15 minutes, I think.
All right, go for it, Chris.
Chapter 2. I will rescue you. Geordi is trapped in a fire in the engineering department. Data comes to the rescue. Hurt, comfort, and angst. All right, do you want to be Riker? You look more like Riker than me.
Sure. What the hell was that?
Riker called over the rumbling of the ship. Data turned his monitor, clicking through the scanners as fast as he could. His eyes darted back and forth across the screen, searching, checking, double-checking, all in the span of 1 or 2 seconds. There is no sign of collision or external damage, he said.
Am I Worf or are you Worf?
I'll be Worf.
Okay.
There was a small explosion in engineering, Worf said suddenly, hands a blur over his own monitors. The warp core is undamaged.
Casualties?
Picard asked. There was a tightness constricting his voice, as there always was during a crisis. Oh god, I don't know who this is.
I think it's Riker? I hope so.
Okay.
3 minor injuries. A fire has broken out in the alcove beside the warp core.
You mean alcove?
Alcove. Fuck.
It's okay.
My name is Altus, and I have lysdexia.
Riker gripped the arm of his chair and turned up to Worf. I guess that was Worf before.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Is anyone in the alcove?
Worf seemed to falter for half a second. LaForge, he's the only one still in the era. Everyone else is evacuating. Picard, oh no, I scrolled too far. Picard's eyes lit up, movement stiff.
Data, number 1. Go get him out of there.
They were already halfway out of their seats when he said it. Up the ramp, into the turbo lift, a quick glance to the worried faces on the bridge, and the door was closing. The last thing either heard was Picard calling a medical team to engineering. They were on their own. Oh, Will. No one likes Will.
Will Wheaton, yeah.
I mean, people might like the actor, but I personally, Will wasn't my favorite character. We'll just put it that way.
Why does no one like Will? What's the problem with Will?
Well, for starters, at some point in the series, there's 2 of him. Do you know that? Remember that?
No.
Okay. All right, so I forget what season it was, but Riker gets a distress signal. They get a distress signal from this planet they had been to before. And when they were there before and they were beaming back up, there was an issue with the transporter, and essentially one copy of Riker made it to the ship and the other one bounced off of like the atmosphere and stayed on the planet for like another 6 or 7 years.
That's
Isn't
weird.
that freaking nuts? And then like this Riker ends up just going on to continue his career as a Starfleet officer, and you just never hear of him again.
I feel like that's a thing in a lot of Star Trek where, like, and this person went on to live a long and fulfilling life, which we'll never cover again. Sorry.
Right, yeah.
Occasionally they do callbacks to that, but not often.
Yeah, we never heard of Riker 2 ever again.
Riker 2, awesome beard boogaloo.
Well, you know that in season 1 he didn't have a beard, but then apparently season 2 he did have a beard, and it like upped the ratings of the series a bunch or something. So they were like, keep the beard.
Which is funny because in season 1, aka all 4 years of high school, I didn't have a beard, and then in season 2, I had a beard and I was able to like date more people. So about the same effect.
Yeah, dude. The facial hair sometimes is the make or break for some ladies.
Because with the beard, it's we have a table right here for you, sir. Without the beard, it's may I see your ID?
Yeah.
Depends on the face, man. Depends on the face. All right. Engineering will commanded into the computer. The turbo lift began moving as the 2 men stood stock still inside. The commotion was still settling in Will's mind. Oh, this is Will Riker. I'm sorry. I thought I was talking about Will Wheaton because I forgot what his name was on the show.
Because he's that forgettable.
Wesley?
Oh, Wesley.
The kid.
Fuck.
I don't know what the kid.
Yeah, Wesley Crusher.
That's right, Wesley.
And then Picard, they'd be like, "Shut up, Wesley!" Like they would, like that happened in the first season.
Yeah.
He's like the Meg of that show.
Never mind. Riker is fine. Will Riker is fine. Wesley Crusher is the character that I don't like.
Yeah,
Got it.
there is a meme about him because there was an episode where like future Wesley shows up, and it's like this very handsome man.
That's what I was thinking of when you said two Wills. I was like, that's what I was thinking about.
Oh no, but there is an episode with Will Riker where there's two of him.
Yeah.
Okay. So engineering.
Sorry, there's multiple characters and different things, enough to mix me up where I thought that Riker was Wesley. Two very different characters. Okay. His body was full of adrenaline that leaked into his unsteady voice.
Do you know what could have caused this?
Will asked. His voice sounded almost as constricted as the captain's. Unknown, sir. If Will didn't know better, he'd say Data looked nervous as well. Jaw clenched, staring straight ahead. Even Data's posture, rigidly upright, seemed a bit too robotic, even for him. When the turbo lift reached their destination, Data practically jumped out the door. Will barely had time to blink before Data was running down the adjacent hallway, making a beeline for engineering. Will followed pathetically behind, unable to keep up with mechanical legs and near infinite stamina. They rounded the corner and found engineering covered in a haze that grew thicker as they ran through it. Light gray mist. Mist is water. Anyway, the light gray mist gave way to thick black smoke that filled Will's lungs with soot and God knows what else. Will coughed chestily, feeling his eyes water. But he kept almost apace with Data. He'd be damned if he let some smoke inhalation keep him from a rescue mission. And if he did end up injured, there was a sickbay crew on their way. His comfort didn't matter here.
If this show had a budget, I would have sound effects for stuff. So you get the occasional, like, cough or anything I can make with my mouth. That's just how it works.
We have mouths. They're our sound effect tool at the moment. Jordy! Data called... Why do I want to say Data? It's because I've been awake since 5 in the morning. It's now almost 9. Jordy, Data called suddenly. God, he sounded human, even if it was just for a second.
I'm here.
Jordy croaked back. He was coughing more than Will. A lot more. Already suffering from the smoke. Jordy, I am going to attempt to move the metal barrier, said Data. To an outside observer, he would have seemed remarkably calm. But Will knew better. Will saw the slight frown, the creased forehead that was usually so smooth and undisturbed. Will noticed the quick movements and the desperate way he approached the scene. Will waved some smoke out of his face so that he could better see what was going on. Apparently, a beam had fallen that had covered the entrance to the alcove just enough to block Jordy inside. Other than that, the only thing out of the ordinary was a small electrical fire working away one of the small computer consoles at the edge of the room. Will could only hope that the computer wasn't important. But, if he were honest, it was not his top priority right now.
Jordy, Dr. Crusher is on her way,
he said, trying to help, trying to keep everyone calm like a good commander should. Commander, said Data, hesitantly touching the upturned metal beam. I will have to move the beam by myself. The temperature is far too great for you to touch.
Okay.
Will breathed. He felt a little useless, standing here unable to help. But he also didn't want to end up in sickbay for 2 weeks with third-degree burns. Data nodded, then got to work. He braced one hand under the beam and took hold of the edge with the other. Using practically his whole body, bent at the knee and crouched under almost the entire structure, he pushed it up. The beam didn't move at first. Data's expression changed to one of exertion, something he'd picked up from observing humans, no doubt. Teeth set in a grimace. He pushed up with all of his strength, so much that his arm shook with the effort. And the beam moved, slowly at first. Then, with one surge of strength, Data had lifted it almost to head level. Hurry, Jordy, he said. Will caught emotion in his voice, even if he'd never admit it, and even if no one else believed him. There was something deeper in those words than an android's indifference.
Wait, Jordy... so the entire room is on fire. Data is lifting up this giant thing, and he's like, wow, I can sense just a little bit of emotion from what he's saying in this incredibly packed, tense moment. I don't know if you've ever had to, like, you know, run back into your house when it's on fire to, like, get your prized family photo album, but you're like, I can hear the fear in the voice of the fireman.
Listen, Altus. These are Starfleet officers, okay? They are prepared for every scenario, so much so they can recognize small nuances in androids. even under extreme duress. So why don't you check yourself, Altus? Go back to the clove where you came from. You understand me?
So, are you saying I should check myself before I wreck myself next time?
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself, because Data's not going to be there when you wreck yourself to lift a beam off of you, okay, bro?
He got me.
I'm just messing. Guys,
me
I'm
too.
just kidding.
That'll be me. I'll be the android that'll help lift something off of you. But you won't catch the emotion in my voice, apparently.
Is that it? Is there more?
No, there's more.
Is there a lot
Jordy
more?
performed. There's a breaking point soon.
Okay, for sure.
If I can find it, Jordy performed a perfect jump and roll through the gap that Data had opened, and found himself at Will's feet. Beside him, Data let the beam fall hard onto the floor. The clanging noise echoed through the large room, a horrible sound of metal hitting metal. But then came a much sweeter sound, footsteps, soft boots coming towards them, and the distinct voice of Dr. Crusher. Will sighed in relief and turned down to Jordy. He was on his back, coughing too much, but seemingly all right. Data crouched above him, eyes scanning over his body as carefully as he monitored his workstation.
I'm all right.
Jordy muttered.
I'm all right.
You seem to be experiencing symptoms of smoke inhalation, said Data, always on alert, especially when it came to his friends. Will stepped out of the way and let Beverly get to work. In the corner of his eye, he watched a different officer run towards the fire with some kind of extinguisher in her hands. Feeling even more useless than before, Will took another step back. Then he noticed Data's hands. Though Data was as placid as ever, his hands looked painfully damaged. Metal glared through broken skin, shining in the light of the blazing fire and warp core. Luckily, the inner metal did not seem too damaged, but he'd need a hell of a lot of regenerator work to be back to normal.
Data, do you want me to walk with you?
Will asked. Data seemed confused at the question, but as soon as he tried to push himself up off the floor, his arm shook violently and he nearly collapsed under himself. Will was there to catch his upper body just in time.
I've got you,
said Will. Easily, he pulled Data to his feet. They both looked down at the damaged hands, Data seeming to notice them for the first time. Will squeezed his shoulder as a sign of comfort, though it was impossible to tell what Data saw as comforting, or whether he cared about comfort at all. Will breathed out, spurring another cough, and looked up at Beverly. She and Jordy were getting to their feet, holding on to each other, but they both seemed fine. We need to get away from this smoke, she said, putting on her doctor voice. I don't want to wait around for the filtering system to come back online.
I'll help Data if you don't need help with Jordy,
said Will. He adopted his command voice as well. It was a mist in these situations.
Okay.
I think the writer meant a must.
Oh, maybe.
Amidst?
A mist in these situations.
It's probably... Well, I and you are next to each other on a keyboard.
A space M-I-S-T.
It's probably
it's probably a mess.
Well, he needs to use his command voice in this situation. I think it's must, because U is next to I on a keyboard.
Yeah, a must. And then the spell check wouldn't catch it if it was a miss.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we just argue about what the typo was supposed to be.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because I have another show in like 10 minutes that I have to log into. I don't know how much time. I don't want to. I feel bad about rushing.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
We never get to the end of these.
Oh, okay, for sure. Is that okay? Because they just text me. I gotta log in there and do a sound check.
Okay.
Oh.
Because my set's at 9.
Yeah.
Not 9:15.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
So thanks for.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
No.
People, if you want to see the rest of this story, link is in the show notes. Morgan, thank you very much for coming on Bad Reading.
Guys, thank you so much. I'm gonna send a photo of you with my hoodie.
Yes.
Where can people find you?
Definitely look me up on youtube.com/MorganIsEthnic. Also go to my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/MorganJ. Friday night. This is going to come out on Saturday, but Friday, and I think we'll see if I do this again, is horror video game night. So I'm playing a very scary video game, which I'm not excited about because it looks very spooky. And but that's it. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, thanks again. All that stuff is in the show notes for people. And Chris, where can people find you?
Come watch me on Backseat Playing, and catch me on Twitter and Instagram at stolen_relic.
And then you can find me at Atlas Novak, Twitter, Instagram, or you can find this show in those same places at Bad Reading Pod, or you can help support the show on patreon.com/badreadingpod. All the tiers are named after shitty tropes in fiction, from MacGuffin all the way to Deus Ex Machina, and you'll get stuff like access to a Discord server and helping vote on what story we pick for the week. We love all of you, and I am totally not hastily covering up the fact that there is a lost episode that we'll never get back because my recording software crashed, and this is the second time we're doing it. I swear. Thanks everybody for listening. Wash your fucking hands and have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.